Hello, hello. Christmas is coming soon, and with that, you all know what that means. Padodoo, padodoo, motherfuckers. It is that season again indeed. Well, with ShiftUp's, consistent effort in delaying the kit's release as close as possible to the deadline, I had a lot of fun making this video to the point that I even had to cancel a stream. You know how it is. I doubt that a lot of people would enjoy watching hours of me theory crafting, recording, and editing a video for the sake of the hot takes. Anyways, Ludmilla was quite something to analyze in great detail. Very, very great detail if you catch my drift. But without further ado, let us share the excitement and go into her kit. Ludmilla is a minigun burst 3 water-coated attacker Nikke. Her skills are as follows. Her first skill, the Queen's Gaze, activates when landing 60 normal attacks and affects the target. Damage taken is amplified by 12.56% for 3 seconds and deals additionally 158.43% of final attack as additional damage. Her second skill, Snowstorm, activates when hitting the core for 60 times and affects the target. It deals 109.64% of final attack as additional damage, and also at the beginning of full burst, she buffs herself for an increased crit rate of 14.6 for 10 seconds. Her burst skill, Guiding Lantern, affects herself and increases her attack by a whopping 62.54% for 10 seconds, and also increases her reload speed by 67.2% for 20 seconds. That is insane. Now, should you pull? Yes, yes you should. Yes, you absolutely should. Ludmilla, besides being an absolute top tier in design, is a limited Nikke despite being in the limited squad, so I guess she really isn't limited by anything at all, huh? But the thing is, I haven't given such a clear yes since probably Summer Anise as far as limited Nikkes go. Her entire kit is very synergistic with itself, and well, everything just seamlessly feeds into itself while also allowing her to be incredibly flexible in terms of options for team building. She's a very solid Nikke to roll for. Now, onto the specifics. Her first skill may seem like it would be hard to proc until you remember that she's a minigun user. Miniguns have a rate of fire at their absolute slowest of 37 bullets per second, when you include the wind-up window and everything just winding up from scratch, up to 60 bullets per second at their absolute fastest. It is tied to the frame rate for the upper bound, so do keep that in mind. Mileage may vary based on the potatoes that you're running with. But it also means that not only she will keep the damage amplification almost 100% uptime while she fires, she will also deal a lot of extra hits through that extra damage for every 60 hits based on her final attack, by the way. Final attack meaning that attack buffs, overload gear, everything will affect it, and it will be amplified even further. To top this already very powerful skill, that is kind of reminiscent of Summer Anise's last bullet damage skill, she has a freaking Bastion cube built into her. Now, it's not just a Bastion, it's a stronger Bastion. Bastion grants at max rank 3 ammo every 10 ammo consumed. So it refunds 3 ammunition every 10 ammunition that you fire. Meaning that every 60 bullets, Bastion will refund you 18 bullets. Her skill is 20 per 60. Meaning that it's actually 2 bullets more. Doesn't seem like much, but until you start involving the massive ammo and overload gear and everything, at around 1000 ammunition, that means a full 30 additional bullets. That is half of what is needed, just refunded for free. More than Bastion, by the way, as a difference, for her 60 per 60 bullet abilities. It's insane. This skill really synergizes with the entire kit, just allows her to go pew 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 even further, and just proccing her skills and everything more and more. Her second skill is where she begins to shine even further beyond. If there is a core exposed to strike, she will do even more damage every 60 hits, for a whopping 109.64% extra damage as final attack, meaning that attack buffs and also overload gears apply to this as well. She has a little nice bonus as well of gaining critical rate when entering full burst, which is a very solid, added bonus considering how much she will be striking, and the fact that she already buffs her own attack by quite a bit through her burst. Speaking of her burst, she has a very, very solid burst. She grants herself a huge attack buff of 62.54% for 10 seconds, which coincides basically with the entire duration of a full burst rotation, and also grants herself for a 67.2% reload speed for 20 seconds. That is very long. That is almost enough to have near full uptime. It expires just a little bit before she gets back to burst herself again. Now, considering she has a much slower reload speed compared to, other Nikkes, to kind of compensate for this, as she has a 3-second reload timer versus, for example, Modernia's 2 and something seconds. In her case, this is a really powerful synergy. It allows her to reduce her downtime by a lot, and if you combine it with a Resilience Cube, which I heavily recommend that you pair her with a Resilience Cube, her reload speed shenanigans at max rank will allow her to have 96.89% reload speed for 20 whopping seconds. That makes her reload timer less than 1/10 of a second for 20 full seconds as a minigun user. That is insane. It really reduces that downtime. Now, should you add Privity into the mix, she will essentially become something similar to the comp that I have showcased in the past, which is, on stream at least, which is the Biscuit 1-frame reload shenanigans. Meaning that she will reload so quickly, it's as if she never reloaded at all, as if she has infinite ammunition. Now, that would be for 10 full seconds, meaning that it would counteract that ammo reduction. Now, Ludmilla is overall a selfish DPS, with one single piece of team-wide utility through her damage amplification, but it's 1/4 of Blanc's damage amplification as a point of comparison. So how good is she, considering that she's very reliant on her damage to be viable, being very selfish DPS? Well, based on the numbers that I have been running on my spreadsheets, she has a lot of potential, like quite a bit of potential here. Now, at first, I just compared her in terms of burst damage to the top DPS in the game, which is Alice. Alice being the top DPS for pushing hard content, still being some of the top, if not the top, for solo raid and union raid, as long as she has very high investment. And, well, Ludmilla loses really fucking hard. She loses really, really badly. But that is no surprise in that regard, because Ludmilla is a minigun user, meaning that she doesn't lose out that much damage during her quote-unquote downtime, which is off burst. What will surprise you, however, is when we compare her to something that is a little bit more fair of a comparison, which is Modernia. And prepare to be surprised, she outclasses Modernia in certain scenarios. Now, first and foremost, she very heavily outmatches Modernia at 0 investment. Meaning that if you have all of the skills at level 10, but you have her cubeless and you don't have any overload gear. Now, this is very rarely relevant, but it is interesting to see that there is such a wide gap between the two. Furthermore, as we add more ammunition lines to both of them, and attack lines as well, while Modernia closes the gap very significantly, she is still outclassed as long as there is a core to strike. Should there be no core involved, Ludmilla's damage is more or less comparable to Modernia's. It could be a little bit higher, it could be slightly lower, there's a little bit of margin of error there. But overall, it's the highest praise you could give to a minigun, being comparable to basically the strongest minigun in the game. Furthermore, contrary to Modernia, she's far less restrictive in terms of team composition. Not only can you run her with the typical Modernia infinite ammo comps such as Bunny Girls, but you can also run her with comps such as Nagatia, because you don't really have to worry about losing DPS due to bursting when fighting a boss. And you can even run her with absolutely no issues whatsoever in a more water-coated heavy team that relies on Dorothy and Privity for reload speed shenanigans. Even though she gets her ammunition nerfed, the reload speed that she gains is so high that it almost completely negates the ammunition nerf, because she benefits so much from reload speed. All in all, she's a very, very powerful Nikke that will, at a bare minimum, fill very specific niche roles as one of the best options, if not the best option for that niche role. Does she replace Modernia is something that I will probably be asked quite a lot. Fuck no. She does not replace Modernia, but she offers an expanded set of options that you have for solo raid, union raid, and the fact that she's comparable to Modernia, meaning that, well, you can kind of pick and choose what you want to use them for, the scenarios that fit better for each of them. But, you know, it also is very important to talk about it, is that she will be very likely the best option as far as burst rate water-coated Nikkes you have, because, well, Shift Up is kind of scared of water. Now, synergy-wise, she is very, very flexible, so you can run her into multiple teams. I will give you some samples, and then I'll give you some more general synergies. She can be slotted into infinite ammo teams, Bunny Girl's leader, and she basically will never have to reload, ever. But she can also be slotted into Nagatia compositions for absolutely obscene core damage, and not be worried about the fact that she needs to burst, because bursting for her is a very good thing. She can also be slotted, as mentioned previously, as well into Doro Privity teams, so that her reloads take less than 1 frame, kind of like Biscuit as I mentioned, and it is far more water-coated damage heavy for fights where you want to bring some of that water-coated damage, especially, for example, Union Raid against something like, I don't know, a Rebuild Cucumber or something. Now, there is also one of my favorite team compositions that I will test as soon as Ludmilla is released, which is the Dorothy, Marciana, Ludmilla, Vesti, and Privity. Doro provides a massive amount of damage through her brand, and cooldown reduction through the last bullet mechanic. Sexy Belly Teacher provides last bullet heals, and quite a bit of healing at that. Ludmilla provides a 1 frame reload thanks to Privity for 10 seconds, and massive reload speed for another 10 seconds if you go Resilience, while doing a metric fuckton of damage in the process. Cutest Yandere Ever lowers the full burst duration by 5 seconds, while providing quite a bit of burst generation as a rocket launcher, and damage, quite a bit. If you're fighting a boss that has parts, for example, she will be hitting all of the parts at once with her missiles. Privity, finally, can serve as an emergency stun for campaign version teams, but mostly provides ammo reduction and attack buffs. Now, some of you may be wondering, why would you want to reduce the full burst duration? Isn't that a bad thing? That is not a bad thing. It's to rotate faster, you fools. Assuming you can rotate fast enough, you could even almost keep up Ludmilla eternally in her reload speed mode, and that is massive. This comp will require testing to see how it pans out, but it has a lot of potential, and it's a almost fully water-coated DPS team. Vesti is water-coated and can deal quite a bit of damage if there's parts to strike. Privity is water-coated and provides the support. Dorothy hits like a motherfucking truck. And of course, we now have Ludmilla, which will probably be the best burst rate water-coated Nikke in the game. Generally speaking though, if you have a more limited roster, well, just keep in mind these key elements. Reload speed is very good for her. Max ammunition, such as ammo refund or ammunition expansion, think of Noir for example, is very good with her. Cooldown reduction for faster rotation can be quite decent, and she can be best friends with things like damage amplification, think Blanc, think Novel, and to some extent crit and crit damage can be good with her as well, so you can think volume as well to some extent, as she auto attacks quite a bit. Now, for cubes, Ludmilla has a very interesting cube priority thanks to her kit, which deserves a mention, to be honest. So, before getting overload gear, resilience is better than wingman, which is better than bastion. Once you start getting overload lines, such as especially ammunition lines, resilience is better than bastion, almost equal to wingman. Yes, you heard that correctly. We may be living in a wingman meta. However, as I mentioned, yeah, wingman and bastion are actually very, very close in performance. So while bastion is better than wingman once you have overload lines for ammunition, you could still slap that bastion onto a different Nikke if you have limited slots and use wingman on her, assuming that the bastion is better on that other Nikke and she will make better use on it than Ludmilla. Of course, we are assuming equal levels of investment in both of the wingman and the bastion. Now, resilience remains the absolute best cube for her, as it provides that very silly situation where she has 96.89% reload speed for 20 full seconds, meaning that she just reloads stupidly quickly. But that is something to keep in mind in terms of what cubes you have available. Now, if you really don't have an option, you can go hit rate cube, of course, which is the assault cube. Now, since Ludmilla is a minigun, I'll go very, very quickly with the arena. Unless there is a way to keep her alive long enough to auto-attack to death everything, either within her burst duration or after, well, she will unfortunately not shine very much in arena beyond, CP gap teams, for example. Meaning that you're so strong you can kind of just do almost whatever, and then miniguns become kind of oppressive to the weaker players. In terms of synergies, well, I mean, anything that allows her to burst faster, whatever provides her with ammunition and reload speed, so Noir or whatever, or something that protects her, maybe a Makima, provides reload speed, taunt. But generally speaking, unless people find a way or new Nikkes shake up the meta a little bit, she will not shine very much in arena. Now, this concludes the Ludmilla hot take. If you're pulling for her, please tell me, and depending on when this video comes out, do tell me as well how your polls went in the comments. I hope this will be helpful to you, and if you enjoyed, feel free to just like and subscribe. As basic as it sounds, it really does help a lot. Well, with that out of the way, Auriene out.